The 5-gallon bucket has long been a favorite amongst gardeners and growers of all types because you can take one bucket and put a big old plant in it, like a pepper plant, right? A jalapeno or a bell pepper, and you can grow a massive harvest just out of this one little bucket. That's pretty cool. But did you know that with the power of YouTube magic, I can take this one bucket and poof, I can grow pepper plants in tiny little versions of it too. In this video, I'm going to show you the tips and tricks that it takes to use something as small as one of these adorable little miniature buckets from hardware stores and grow a pepper plant that gives you a real harvest. And if you stick around to the end, I'll show you a couple other tricks because I'm also growing pepper plants in something even smaller than this, and the pepper community's been doing it for years. I'll show you all the tips and tricks starting right now. I thought it would be fun to show you how easy this actually is because people say, oh, I don't have room for a garden, or what's the point of growing pepper plants? I don't have an outdoor space. These were grown indoors. I did use a grow light, so that is a little bit of an expense. You could try and do it in a sunny window, but especially over the winter, that's probably not going to work very well. So if you want to grow a pepper plant in a small container like this, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. One, you're not going to get as big of a plant, right? With this small amount of root space, it can't support a very large plant. I have seen some people get pretty big ones here by doing extensive feeding and a little bit of light training, but in my case, I wanted quick growing healthy plants. They stayed nice and compact. This guy here is a Doe Hill. Doe Hill is kind of a bell pepper type variety, very sweet, very delicious pepper. Typically the fruit will be about twice this size, maybe 3 times that size. Not as big as a full-size bell pepper, but not this small. And typically the plant will be 3 to 4 feet tall, bushy, taking up a ton of space out in my garden. If you want your plants to grow really well in these containers, you have got to feed them. So I've been using just standard Miracle-Gro liquid fertilizer as well as a little bit of a hydroponic mix from Fox Farms. Basically whatever I was using for other plants at the time, I've been dumping in here. So it's not picky. They just need their nutrients and they will use up everything that's in your potting mix like that, right? Because it's such a small volume of soil. So tip number 1 here is just feed like crazy. Don't make it extra strong. Make it regular strength or even slightly diluted, half strength. So I aim for that magical ratio of about 3:1:2 NPK, so 3 parts nitrogen, 1 part phosphorus, 2 parts potassium. That means in my case, like if I use Miracle-Gro, I'm diluting that quite a bit. And pretty much every time you water, feed. That's really the rule here. Every time you water one of these little plants, put some nutrition in there and it'll do pretty good. The other really important thing is drainage. I just drilled some holes in the bottom of this. You can hardly tell. I should have gone with bigger holes in this case. I was worried about the soil coming through the bottom, but if I make more buckets here, I'm going to definitely drill slightly bigger holes, maybe about 1/8 of an inch. The bigger drill bits, you have a higher chance of cracking the plastic, so proceed slowly and carefully, but make sure you have good drainage. That's tip number 2. But what if you want to go a little bit smaller and use something that you have sitting around the house, if you're anything like me? A can, a soda can, a beer can, a water can, whatever it happens to be. I thought it would be fun this year to do my pepper in a can in a Dr. Pepper can because, look, it's obvious why. Because Dr. Pepper is the greatest soda. Not sponsored, could be. If you want to throw some dollars this way, Dr. Pepper, look at that cute little pepper. This is a okapi, so this is my creation okapi. This is an F7 plant. You can see it's got beautifully variegated foliage here. It stayed small and squat. It's got great tight spacing, so it's already starting to put on more branches again after putting on these fruits. I haven't harvested yet because I wanted to make this video, but like this guy is way overripe. He's getting squishy. You can grow peppers that put on more than one fruit, right? So this Doe Hill, not the most productive plant, but I've got 3 good-sized peppers going here. What's cool about this is it'll just keep growing fruits. It's starting to put on new buds already, so it's going to have new flowers. All the more reason for me to pull these fruits off as soon as these guys start to ripen up a little bit. But it's going to keep producing for me. So taking up this much space, you can put it in a little cup holder, and you're going to get peppers off of a can. So how do you do this, right? If you have one of these buckets, I've got a few. They come in a bunch of different colors, right? You're going to drill your holes in the bottom. Fill it up with a high-quality potting mix that has good drainage, so a lot of perlite. You can see there's a lot of little white pebbles in here. That's the perlite for drainage. And that's it. Pick a pepper. I planted the seed right in here, put plastic over the top just to keep it moist. It sprouted in a few days, and away I was. Now, if you want to do a can, there's a couple of different things you can do. You can see I actually planted right through the drinking hole on the top of the can. Not recommended. That's not typically what people do. I just thought it would be fun to try this year. Most people will take the top off of this can. There's a few ways to do that. You can use a can opener and just go right around the top. It will take that top off. There is also, believe it or not, these like purpose-made tools for removing the top off a can. And I use this so infrequently, every time I do, it's like, wait, how does this work again? But essentially, it's got these little razor discs that sit around this. It clamps down. Oh, there it goes. These are designed to like just set on top of the can. You squeeze it, you twist. It works actually easier when the can's full, just because of pressure or whatever, rigidity. There, you can hear that sound. It's actually pushed the lid through as I was opening it, but that's it. Don't cut yourself. It's actually pretty smooth and not sharp. And now you have a nice open can. But of course, like I mentioned with the buckets, you need drainage. You can either take a drill and drill holes here, but there's something really important about most cans. That bottom is kind of concaved, right? Or convex if you look at it from this way. Meaning the low spot is not the center of the bottom of this can. So drilling a hole here is not going to help a ton with drainage. It's slippery. You'll actually want the drain to be around this rim at the bottom. How do you do that? Take some snips, or in my case, I'm going to use these little micro snips and just cut holes in it. I use my micro snips for everything. I've said that before. But you can actually just pretty easily cut a few holes around this edge. And that's all it takes. See, basically just taking 2 cuts to make a little triangle cutout. These things are amazing. Thank you, Fiskars. It would be great if you wanted to sponsor my channel and send me all kinds of cool Fiskars gear, since I stand for you anyhow. And this thing is going to drain fine now, right? I've got like 6 drainage holes in the bottom here. That'll be enough so that it won't just pour out, but it'll actually drain from those holes. Fill this up with potting mix, just like the bucket. Put your seeds in. You got yourself a pepper plant, buddy. I have seen people in the community really do incredible things with this. They'll grow pepper plants that are 2-3 feet tall, still loaded, and they're in this tiny can. I have had problems where once the plant gets big enough, you actually have tip over issues because it's top heavy. So put them in cup holders, put them, wedge them somewhere where they won't fall over, wedge them between other plants. Keep that in mind. It's actually really fun though. I mean, come on. Who doesn't want to be like, hey, would you like a Dr. Pepper? And it's full of peppers. Just me? Okay, well, whatever. I think growing pepper plants in these tiny buckets or in a soda can or a beer can is actually really fun, and everybody should give it a try at least once in your gardening journey. If you've already done this, or you've grown your pepper plant in something even smaller, leave a comment below and let me know, what's the smallest container that you've actually grown a fruiting pepper plant and got a harvest from. I would love to hear more about your adventures in tiny container growing. And I would love to see pictures too. If you have grown in one of these tiny buckets, or you've grown in a pepper can or something smaller and you're on Instagram, tag me at Boss Grows. I want to see it. Thank you for watching. Best wishes on your 2026 gardens. And remember, plants help us grow.